Hi guys. Hi Justine. First,
Hello.
I want to say thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate you and your time and appreciate you jumping on and sharing so candidly about your story and your mum's story. We are on a mission and people will find out as they listen and watch this what type of mission this is, because it really is heartwarming and hope in a bottle on so many different levels for this stuff here that we are going to be sharing about. But firstly, my name is Rebecca White. I'm an abundance alignment coach, energy healer. I'm a distributor for these beautiful golden drops. And Justine Cole's here is also a distributor now after discovering about them. And Justine is also a busy mum and she works really hard. She has lots of things going on, and she has quite a story to share with us about her story on these golden drops and her mother's story. So firstly, Justine, if you don't mind, could you share with us a little bit about your background and a little bit about your mum's background and what was happening for you only less than 3 months ago, really? It was a very short time ago.
Yes, so it sort of really rose to the forefront for us as a family. But back in to take us back to the beginning, 2015, my beautiful brother passed away and impacted all of us quite profoundly, but more so mum. The grief of losing a son, like, most people wouldn't be able to even comprehend. Um, and in 2017 she was diagnosed with Parkinson's, so the impact that the grief had on her body was, to the point where she developed Parkinson's. And you know we Mum knew a holistic road was the way she wanted to go with it, so we did lots of different things with diet and practitioners and things like that. 20 with COVID hits, and Mum's body started to seize up, and the pain, and also fibromyalgia. She couldn't move or speak. It was quite frightening. But my stepdad was stuck in Perth with our mandates, so he couldn't get home straight away. So we had lots of Mum's friends helping around the clock. Then he was able to come home. So, you know, she had a carer in place. Then because now they're not earning income because he's her carer, they had to move into a smaller place. So they did that. And the unit had, unbeknownst to us, had mold through the unit. So she developed mold toxicity, which mimics all of the same symptoms as Parkinson's. So that sort of sent Mum on a bit of a downhill spiral. So then we found her a new place to move to, beautiful place that she's living in now. And we thought, okay, let's, get Mum on the right road. And then she developed COVID.
Oh my
And
goodness.
that just set everything into, pain was, you know, 20 out of 10 pain,
Wow.
like just could not cope with it. It just sent it right through the roof, and everything spiraled. And so Mum went into hospital 2 days before Christmas. Spent a few weeks in one hospital, so Christmas Day, everything, New Year's Eve, everything was there. So as a family, it sort of threw things around a bit. Then she was sent to another hospital, which was further away for me, so it was harder. But that was like one flew over the cuckoo's nest. It was a bit crazy. So we got her back home. I was trying to help her working from home, but things just kept developing because Mum's in the 1% where opioids react in the opposite. So we create more of what we're trying to stop. And it was just watching Mum in so much pain and feeling so helpless was one of the hardest things I've had to deal with emotionally as a daughter, and watching my stepdad as a husband, watching him, like he couldn't, it was, I can't even find the words right now. It's, going back to and imagining that, watching my stepdad just be on all the time.
Yeah, I can
He
imagine.
was just depleted. He was, you know, like he was so tired, and fatigued. Like he was just on all the time because Mum needed him 24/7. She could not be left alone for 1 minute. She had to constantly move because the tension in her body was just so intense. She would just seize up. It
It's
would
like
like
a
go
cramp.
frozen. It was
Yeah,
like,
it sounds
if you
like.
imagine water freezing in a lake, like it was like, that's how mum's body was reacting.
Oh,
It was just, and she couldn't speak. So you can imagine, like, for me, it would feel like I was suffocating. That's how I was imagining it,
yeah.
So so mum, that's why Paul was living at the hospital with my mum. And so the third time we went back to hospital, mum actually had that. Is it the green pen that the footy players have when they do
Yeah,
that?
the
They
green
gave her
whistle.
one of them. The
Mhm.
pain was so intense. It was just, yeah. And so I think it started to play with mum's mind of what was real and what was
Of
not real.
course.
Like, it was just, and, for us, it was like, we were just, I was falling down. I fell down, emotionally and physically, because you're still trying to work and you're still trying to do the kids and give them, give
Yeah, I
everyone
could imagine
what
a
they
really
need.
tough time. Yeah.
So watching her in the stint in hospital at in Berwick, and they tried really hard. The doctors and nurses, they tried really hard, but there wasn't much they could do. And mum, it just seemed to be getting worse. So, we're all having those thoughts of, okay, I don't think mum's going to be here much longer.
Mm.
We're not sure where this can go. Um, we, they wanted to get her back to the other hospital, but in the new part, because it was a specialist for Parkinson's and acute pain specialist. So we did that, and the doctors there said, there's nothing more that we can do. We have tried everything. We can only suggest mindfulness. I mean, how much mindfulness can like,
Yeah, your mum is very, very spiritual, and I know
that's
that
right.
she's
And
into
we
that.
would do all of that. And the affirmations, we would say affirmations walking around to keep her body moving over and over and over again. We had a beautiful friend write a meditation dedicated to mum, to focus on her and what she was going through. But when you're in 20 out of 10 pain, rising above it, was, such a, and we tried and we did all of that kind of stuff.
I can imagine. Sounds like a really long
To
and
the point where she
time.
said, I don't want to be here if this is how I'm going to live. I don't, like, I can't live like this anymore. And I said, Mum, I get it. Like, like, I don't know how I would cope with it, her her strength and resourcefulness. I am just so, I admire in her so much, to see how far she pushed to deal with this.
Yeah.
Um,
As a daughter, did that really just, if you go back to that time, your mum being, how strong she was going back to that time.
oh my God. I used to think my dad is an ex-footy player, right? VFL back in the day. I used to think I was tough like my dad, because a lot of people say, Jazz, you're so strong. Yeah, and as much as I love my dad, I get my strength from my mum. I swear
Yes.
to God. Watching her find and pull from the depths of darkness strength to keep moving. She is freaking amazing. Like, I don't, there's some strong people in this world, but oh my God, there's not much of mum. She's, 5'7", and she was pretty low in weight. The lowest she got was like 48 kilos. But I swear to God, the strength she has in her heart and her mind, she's one powerful woman,
So that's true. I've met your mum on Zoom, so I totally get that. So
Yeah.
back at that time though, I remember you telling me, and we were like, oh, this is tough, right? I remember you
Oh
sharing that.
God, yeah. I mean,
There was
mum
that.
said to me, I don't want to be here. And I said to her, I support you, mum, in whatever way that looks, for you to get out of pain. So if that means going to be with Michael, and, and go back to source, or whatever you believe in, heaven, um, I said, I support that. I mean, she spoke to her doctors about end of life assistance.
Oh,
My stepdad and I had the conversation about giving her permission to go.
Mm.
because I had had the conversation with her, but I needed him to have the conversation with her. And he told me that he'd done it, and they'd even talked about what he would do afterwards and planning.
So they'd literally started planning for her to be gone from this planet.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
So you can imagine that pain.
It was huge. It was absolutely huge.
And imagine, I could not imagine seeing my mum in that pain and not being, you know, feeling helpless at the time.
No, I was
Imagine
going to
mummy
bed
was
at night praying to Michael to please take her, you
Mhm.
know, and I was having the conversation with only certain people because I didn't want to, there was still part of me that hoped everything was going to work out. So I didn't want to put it out there for everybody, but there were certain close friends of mum's that I cried on the phone with. You know, I told my sister, you know, I kept it from my boys, you know, but there was certain family members that I had to, you know, prepare them, you know. It was, you know, such, yeah, you know, and in the meantime, still do everything and still live life and still
to do as a
be
working
responsible.
single mum. Yes. So
Yeah, that's
so yes, I totally understand that. And I remember speaking to you. So tell us about where you first discovered this, because these came into your life, what, 8 weeks ago, 9 weeks ago? 10
yeah,
weeks ago?
something like that.
Very, very short time.
Yeah, Deborah Hicks rang me and said, there's a new product I want to tell you about. And I was like, oh, I don't know. Like you just, you know, like you try so many things and you're
Yes.
just not sure. So I had, I think it was, you know, one morning I was laying in bed and Deborah had invited me to the Disruptive Wellness Facebook group where all the testimonials are. And so I just started having a look through it and I'm like, people are having, you know, results with pain and autoimmune and arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, you know, and then a whole host of other things. And I went, oh, maybe it could help, Mum. You just never know. So I remember speaking to my stepdad and I said, oh, just looking at this thing, I don't know, I'm going to do some more research for you, but similar things to Mum. So, you know, like it might be something that could help. And it was only when I got on the call with you, Beck, as well, and Deborah, and we looked at this, you know, for the health benefits. And then, you know, we're talking about the business and I just went, all right, let's get me some of this, you know. So I think I drove over, it was the Thursday, I think it was a Wednesday that we spoke. So on the Thursday, I drove over to Deborah's and got the bottle and took it straight to the hospital. Because and Paul, Mum and Paul were just open to trying something, anything. Because I don't know if I said this before, but Mum had admitted to me that she wanted to get well and fight this. Yeah. So, and that's when I think I buggered this up, but that's when we decided to find something.
Yes. Ask
Yeah.
and you shall receive.
Yeah. Well, yeah, absolutely. So we took the bottle in. The doctor had a look at the ingredients and said, yep, the ingredients are natural. We're happy with that. It won't contradict with anything, and got the nurses to chart it so they could monitor it.
That's a good thing to know, because some people say, oh, is this you know, is this okay to use with this and that? Like, honestly, it's curcumin.
Yeah,
It's a
absolutely.
natural product.
Exactly. So we I think we gave it to her on the Thursday. So I think it was the Friday night or the Saturday morning that she had the first drops, and she had 40 minutes of no pain.
I remember you saying that. That was a huge deal, right? Someone that had been in 20 out of 10 pain for so long.
That's
I
right.
remember.
And I mean, and you know, like 40 minutes doesn't sound like much, but when you've got a person that at this point can't even walk around anymore, can't even be shuffled around the room. The way she relieved her pain is just by standing up in the chair for a little bit and then sitting back down. She can't look, she would have to look down at me, and you know, she'd have to make an effort to lift her head to look at me because it actually was too hard.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
that was
and
huge.
I could only be in the room for the hospital visit, I would take in supplies and some cask water and things like that. But I could only be there for 10 minutes because any longer it was too much.
Yeah. So
So,
we understand that was severe issues going on for
oh,
your mum.
yeah. So, yeah.
40 minutes pain-free in the first 24, 48 hours, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And then a few days later, I, get updates from my stepdad that mum was able to meditate for
Oh,
3 minutes
yes.
in the morning and 4 minutes in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And
You
this
said your
is
mum was a
someone who
meditator. Yeah.
she meditates twice a day for like an hour a day. Like that's her
Wow.
thing,
To have
connecting
that back.
her higher self in that way. And yeah, and so to be able to do that for a few minutes, like that was huge, and then,
I
little
remember this
bits.
progression. I
Yeah, it was
remember you
just every
sharing
day there
this.
was something little. She
I
slept a
know.
bit longer. She was able to go to the toilet easier and do it herself. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, she
Which
was
is
able to
huge.
walk around.
That's something I want to just touch on because my grandmother was in hospice for a long time. And, I could not imagine, but having all of those things that we take for granted taken off you. I mean,
Mm.
that on top of all the pain. I think your mother's amazing as well, by the way. I think
Oh,
she's
thank
incredible.
you.
And I think
Oh,
you're
I'm so
incredible for
proud of
sharing
her.
this. And and I totally understand that to me is the biggest thing, just having that little bit and seeing that growth, to the point
Yeah.
where, can you share, because I'm a netballer and your mum was a netballer, and I remember
Oh
about
my
3 or
God.
4 weeks in,
Yeah.
what was
Growing up,
happening?
mum loved her netball,
Yeah,
and yeah, because my dad always took the limelight with his sport. So for mum, when she was good at netball, she, like she loved it, and she was always off. I remember her little white netball skirt, and you can see in the video that my stepdad filmed of her. This is week 3 on the drops. She's in
yeah.
physio,
Mm-hmm.
walking between the 2 poles and throwing the ball. And you should, like, when you watch the video, you'll find it. And she's got real intention, and she's just bang,
Mm,
bang, bang. And I was like,
yeah,
I swear to God, when I got the video, my heart just filled with so much joy. I was so proud of her because you can
yeah,
see that determination,
yeah,
and she was like, Paul was so proud, the look on his face, like he was getting his wife back. She had
yeah.
rung me that morning and said, "You've got your mum back,"
I remember you
you
saying
know,
that. That
and
was
that was
huge.
that
Yeah.
was I've and like I just squealed with joy. Like every day every day I was getting something to say, hey, like these are working. We're getting it.
Yes,
This is
and this
happening.
is, I remember, and this was very new in Australia. We're still very new in Australia and New Zealand, and we're pre-launching it. And you telling us, because I remember sharing this with you, and I'm like, oh my God, please let this
Yeah,
work
yeah.
for your mum. And then when you were sharing it every day, I was getting updates from you and Deborah, and I was like, oh my God. And it was like a miracle happening before our
Mm.
eyes. And we knew we were onto something.
Oh,
We just went OMG. And now, I mean, we share now about our mission to, I believe it's a mission from above to share this. But
oh,
can you tell me though, because we want to get to the good bit. So how many weeks was it when things really started to shift and we made the big move? Can you share about that?
yeah. Well, so yeah, week 3 netball, week 4 hydro pool. She's in
Awesome.
the water. I had to go and buy her bathers and everything. It was so funny. And then week 6 weeks, after 106 days in hospital,
Yeah.
we've got another video of her in the car park, getting into the car, standing in the beautiful sunshine, waiting to be driven home.
Yes, and I remember you saying she couldn't
Oh,
even get in the car for months before that. She couldn't even get into a car, and she's getting
no,
driven in 6 weeks.
no, she couldn't drive anywhere. She was
Yeah,
stuck in a house. So for her to get in the car and do it's like an hour drive. She
huge.
sat in the car and was able to do it. They stopped at a bakery on the way and got something for lunch or whatever, and and went home and was able to sleep in her own bed and walk inside her own house, and and be on the phone
Yeah,
and communicate with people. She was able to cope with that. Like,
yeah, huge. Oh
it's
my God.
yeah.
So
It's
amazing.
just amazing. And every day she just gets better and better. And
Yes.
we've still got work to do. There's still some things to tweak, but we know that, like even down to food, she's, able to eat some gluten and things that she couldn't eat for many years
I had
without
that.
reacting
I've
badly.
had that story a few times actually from people
Yeah.
now. It's
Which
actually quite incredible.
I am blown away by,
Yeah.
because I make my Nana's apple shortbread, which is a recipe that was passed down to me, and it's all flour and a lot of sugar, and but it is a family recipe that every family function I have to take it, and I don't
Yeah.
mind because it's so yum. But Mum struggles to eat it because of the flour and sugar. It sets everything off. And
Mm.
for me to see her eating this type of food
Yeah.
without the reaction afterwards, like, it's
Wow.
just huge. Anyone who knows my mum is going to go, oh my God, you
Yeah.
know, it's just, yeah. So
I
I'm
love that.
really excited to
I want
see.
to. Now your mum's story is miraculous and it deserves to be shared everywhere around the world. That's why we're doing this interview,
Yes.
because we call this hope in a bottle for a reason.
Mhm.
Because like you said, the doctors have been like this, and
Yep.
unfortunately, in this day and age, there's a lot of things, unfortunately, that they kind of go like this. Well,
Yep.
we want to share because we want to make sure that we're sharing the hope for people, and it is a natural curcumin product with that bio-MS technology. So
Yep.
people say, oh, it's curcumin, I've tried it, it didn't work. But we know that this has got that extra technology that makes it 18,000% more bioavailable. That's the
Yep.
difference, right? But I also want to quickly share, because you obviously were going through such a hard time, being obviously the rock that was trying to hold everything up, and being a single mum. How has this actually impacted your life? Can we just share a little bit on that? Because this is such a great story for your mum, but this is working on so many people on so many different levels. So let's hear a little bit about
Oh
you
my
and how
God. I've got a few things that's not as big as Mum's, obviously, but
everything's
there's
important though, right?
my sleeping has improved.
Yeah.
I had a sunspot on here that is gone. Like,
Wow.
it
I've
became
had that
raised.
too.
Yeah, it
Yes.
became raised, and then it became like a scab, and then it's just disappeared. There's another one above it that I'm working on
Yeah.
at the moment. And that's just, I put it on once externally, but I keep forgetting, so it's all working from
Yeah.
internally.
Mm.
Um, yeah, what else? I've got hot flushes.
Yes, I've heard lots about the time
Helps
of
with the
menopause and
hormones.
mm,
Yeah. So if I have a glass of wine, it can set off my hot flushes. So I just have to monitor that. But like,
occasion, yes.
yeah, that's okay. But yeah, my boys, Jake hurt his shoulder and he got a AC dislocation. So as soon as we got home from the hospital, we had X-rays. Yeah, well, I made him a drink with the curcumin.
Yeah. I give
Yeah,
it to my children and my animals, don't you worry. And they, the same thing.
yeah,
It's amazing. Yeah.
yeah. So every day, and it helps because it helps with inflammation. They're teenagers, so I'm like with pimples. So
Yeah.
they're really really happy to take them. Um, oh, what else for me? I can't even think right
There's
now.
so many things, right?
Yeah.
But I know that you mentally and emotionally,
Oh,
you've
my
shared about that.
clarity. Mum said she has never seen me so clear
Yeah.
in such a long time. I know that it's funny. I just said I can't even think, but it was just, I was a bit overwhelmed. But like, coming from like the stress and the impact, especially, I mean, yes, the last 6 months, that period over Christmas, but really it's been since 2015.
Yeah.
The depression and anxiety that I have dealt with over the last 8 years was huge. Michael,
Your brother. Yeah.
he's is 6.5 years younger than me. He was like I was like his other mum. Okay, so he had mum, but him and I worked together on the railways. I got him the job in the railways, so we worked together, and he was so proud of me because I went quite high in the
Mm.
railways. I was a trainer and all sorts of stuff, and so working with him, and I would bump into him on the rail every day. There's a crossing down at Baxter called Robinson's Road, and I would bump into Mick every single, like, all the time. So I
Mm.
call it Coles's Corner,
Mm.
like, because we'd be walking along, and I'd be like, "Oh, what are you doing here? Oh, what are you doing here?" And people, because I'd always go up and give him a hug because he was my little big brother. He was like
Yeah.
6'1" ish. and people didn't know we were brother and sister half the time because we worked on different jobs. And then they go, "Oh, that's his sister," and they go, "God, they're unreal. They just love each other, so much, And he was a pain in the butt. I call him, I don't know if I can say this, but I call him, he was a shithead, and Mum says it too, but we just loved him so much. And when he left, it put such a big hole in our lives.
Yeah.
And because I was like his other mum, it impacted me on a couple of different levels. So I did some work around
Mhm.
that with a hypnotherapist and all sorts of stuff to clear that. And, but I've also learnt where he is pretty bloody awesome, but it took a while for that. Like, it was still there, but
Yeah.
I feel like these drops have just taken that everything that I know, and there's moments where I'm good and then moments where I'm not. Like, I'm finding the moments where I'm good are easier
Yeah.
because the anxiety and the depression, it's just the work, what it does to the inflammation in the brain and the gut,
It's interesting, isn't it?
like it's,
Because I think it works on the emotional inflammation, to be honest. I
yeah,
really do, because I do emotion code, body code, I do
yeah,
energy work, and I've noticed a huge difference in people's, and of course we add in the gut health and prebiotic gut cleanse,
yeah.
and that's the gut and the brain all connected. Yeah, it's an incredible product. And people always say, like, are you just sharing this because you sell it? No, I was never going to sell something like this again. I never was even interested. And I
I
know
was
you
the
were similar.
same.
Yes, I know you were
When
the same.
Deborah first said to me, go, "Oh, I can't even think about another business. Like,
Yes,
get away from me."
yes.
Like, I was done with
Mhm.
multi-level marketing, all that kind of stuff. But I swear to God, for anybody who's watching this right now, this is the real deal.
I
This
know.
is this is the hope that we were
Yeah.
looking for.
Mm,
Like, the best part about this is my mum getting well.
yeah.
The next part is the financial benefits and what it's doing for me on a financial
Mm,
level. The fact
I
that I'm
know.
paying my rent this week with my commissions and bonuses is huge,
Yeah.
like, and I know that as a single mum, I'm on my own. I'll find a man one day, but in the meantime, I want to be financial, and I am going to set myself up with financial freedom.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know you will, because you're really
Real,
determined. I know. Being this timing and this product, I mean, wow.
absolutely.
I
Yeah,
it's a
but for
mission. It's a
the health
mission from,
benefits is just, this is the real deal. People are getting well, and
yeah.
I'm so proud to be part of
I
it.
know, and like we've said many times, the opportunity to help people is number one, but we're helping people on both levels, physically
Mm,
and in
yep.
a sense, and we just love it. So I'm gonna thank you so much for sharing your story and your mum's story,
Thank you.
and we're going to share this around the world because this needs to be shared, and we are on a mission to impact 1 billion families,
Yep.
both health and financially. And I know that this is going to happen, and I know that
Yeah.
I'm really
We
excited to
can
be on this journey with
inspire
you.
someone
Yes.
else and some families to get the help. Then,
But yes, make sure you get back to the person that invited you or shared this video with you,
yeah,
because this is it is an amazing business, and we are full of integrity, and we want to make sure that that person gets whatever they need to get, and you can get this from them. And of course, if you are from Justine or Deborah or myself, then get back to us, of course, as well. But otherwise, thank you so much, Deborah. I mean, Deborah, of Justine. I've got Deborah in my mind now.
you're
Thank
very
you so
welcome.
much, Justine. We are so blessed to have you part of the team, and so blessed for your mum. I'm just so excited all the time.
I know.
We get stories like this all the time, but your mum's story is so special to us because it was like the first, almost one
It
of the first
was,
to
yeah.
get the drops, and one of the first in Australia to have this massive, miraculous stuff happening. And we are just, it just set us up because we were like, OMG, we've got it.
Yes.
We've got something no one else has got. And
Yeah.
we call it hope in a bottle for a reason. So thank you
Mum
so
is so
much.
excited to be
Oh,
inspiring people around the world.
yeah.
That's her mission in life, to inspire, and she's doing it. And
Oh, it's almost like she manifested that as well now.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's crazy. So thank you so much. Thank everybody for your time and energy. And please get back to that person. We will speak to you very soon. And I'll stop that recording